رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي.
638 CE, Muslims conquer Palestine. The 1300 years Muslims' rule of Palestine begins. Peace and justice flourishes, and everyone, regardless of their religion, is allowed to live and visit Jerusalem safely. 1099 CE, the Crusaders captured Jerusalem. They rule it for 90 years. This era is marked by injustice and cruelty to all non-Christian residents. The Muslims conquer the city again in 1187, returning the peace and justice. In 1914, the British occupied Palestine, the end of the Muslim rule in Jerusalem. 1917, the British government makes promises to Arab leaders for an independent Arab state that would include Palestine. Simultaneously and secretly, it makes promises to the Zionists for the establishment of a Jewish home in Palestine, known as the Balfour Declaration. The Zionist Jews are only 8% of the population at this time, so the British government starts bringing in the Zionist Jews from Europe into Israel. 1948, Zionist Jews establish a state for themselves over the land of Palestine and call it Israel. Thousands of Muslims are forced out of their homes. In 1948, the land that is now divided into the State of Israel, the West Bank and Gaza Strip, was also known as Palestine. The State of Israel, with Zionists as its dominant ideology, is based illegally on most of the land as they seized from Arabs after the 1948 war. The land they took belonged rightfully to the Palestinians, who lost their homes, jobs and farmlands, and a large number of them were forced to take refuge in Lebanon, where they are living in poor conditions in refugee camps. At the beginning, the Zionists were but a handful of people who showed that they have a longing for the Holy Land. However, this spiritual longing had more to it, with power-seeking Zionists devising a plan for taking over the whole land, making use of the British as their source. Since 1948, when Israel declared establishment of an Israeli state and a huge population of Jews immigrated to the land, Zionists have systematically seized Palestinians of their belongings, resources, and also the resources of the neighbouring countries. The occupation kept expanding so much so that at present Palestinian land is nothing but a few patches. The first map in 1946, approximately a year before Israel was created, shows that Jewish communities own no more than 6% of historic Palestine and represented 30% of the population. The second map spells out the United Nations Partition Plan in 1947, which awarded the Jewish community a stake of 55% of the land alongside a much reduced Palestine, even though Palestinians were the strong majority of the land's inhabitants. The third map in 1948 to 1967 displays the armistice lines from the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. In this map, Israel controls 78% of the land. The fourth map is where we are today, as Israel systematically takes more and more Palestinian land to accommodate Israel's massive settlement projects. Over 500,000 Israeli settlers now live in the occupied West Bank. Under international law, it is illegal for Israel to move Israeli settlers into the occupied Palestinian territories. Israel is on the verge of annexing 60% of the West Bank. They point to an important reality, that Israel has expanded in what was historic Palestine. The majority of the indigenous population of the land, the Palestinians, have either been driven off the land or where they remain have no sovereignty and few things. الصوت